Coming up tonight, it's time to fill out those brackets.
So you're saying there's a chance?
So, what needs to happen to get the Philly schools back to the big dance?
It's good.
It's up to the athletic directors to open up the checkbooks, and let's get in the game.
3 seconds at midcourt.
Jenkins
gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
Plus, we look back at our favorite tournament moments. We don't need any luck here because every day we are feeling fantastic.
from Fox 29 News. This is the Phantastic Sports Show.
Good Monday evening. Welcome into the Phantastic Sports Show. Jamie, you got your green on. Hello, how are you?
It's the day to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie Apody joining me. Of course, Jason is off tonight, so it's just a girls' night.
Ladies' night.
I love it. I love
I'd
this.
sing, but you don't want to hear that.
You know what? You can do whatever you want on this show, within reason, of course. All right, guys, so here's what is on deck tonight. We've got a lot to talk about, especially because March Madness is about to begin tomorrow. The first four start to get played, and soon enough, we will have the absolute madness ensue later on this week. Also, there are for the, third year in a row? Third year in a row.
I'm counting.
Big Five teams here, yeah. And your favorite tournament memories, because we have to look back a little bit on some things as we get going, because that's what makes this sector of sports so much fun. Honestly, I think March Madness is probably my favorite tournament because it's just chaos.
Is there anything better? Especially the first 2 days.
Yeah.
Because you just sit around and watch basketball all day long.
Yeah, and you get the most surprising upsets and fun characters emerging.
The best.
Yeah.
And it's so often what you least expect, and then you remember some names forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, we are going to get into all of that. If you want to join in on our conversation, super easy. Here's how you do it. 215-915-PHIN or fox29.com/upload. Send in a selfie-style video, and you can see yourself on the Phantastic Sports Show, but we'll be right back in about 30 seconds.
Sports Show.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
Go Phil!
Oh, we love that. Everybody just enjoying St. Patrick's Day today. Are you Irish? I'm not.
I'm not. As my mother-in-law used to say, I'm a wee bit Irish.
Okay.
But that's probably just through marriage.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really count.
Okay, so neither of us are Irish, but happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone who's out there celebrating. As we get things teed up, I want to start, Jamie, by talking about the state of college basketball here, because I'm going to be honest, it's been difficult to have this conversation because no one is interested in college basketball here. And I think that's really, really troubling, considering.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
This is the place to be interested in college basketball.
Yeah.
We are the home of the Palestra.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the Big Five reigns. And the Big Five hasn't had a team in the
Little
Big
Five.
Dance, Little Five, in 3 seasons. This is crazy. So from 1978, which I'm dating myself as the year I was born, I know I'm ancient, to 2022, there's always been at least one Big Five school in the Big Dance, and 3 seasons now without it.
Yeah,
That's 44 straight years.
Yeah, Nova
What's
was
going
the
on?
last, and that was that.
Well, this is we can't have this.
Yeah.
Something that needs to be done.
Yeah, it's troubling, and I don't really know how you fix it either, because I feel like people forget the rich history at this point because we're kind of starting to get a little bit removed that all of the teams used to be competitive at the exact same time. I mean, Temple still is the 5th most winningest basketball program in history, and that's lost. And I feel like every single time I tell people that, they're like, really? Temple? Really? Yeah.
When's the last time that's what's so crazy? When is the last time?
Yeah. It's
been a long time.
It's been a really long time, and I don't know how you fix this, and I don't know how you bring things back, because it's just the level of apathy that's going on here when it comes to college basketball. I don't know how you fix that and how you compete in the NIL era.
Well, that's the first thing that's ruining, I think, all
like
of
the mid-major.
college.
Yeah,
100%. So that aside, I think the way you've got to fix it is start with a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think if you have one powerhouse here, I think when Villanova was a powerhouse,
Yeah.
For all those years, that upped the level of everybody else.
Yeah.
Because when you were in the Big Five, you didn't want to play second, third, fourth, fifth fiddle to Villanova year in, year out. So I think to start, and this is not Kyle Neptune's fault or whatnot, but like, you know, you had Jay Wright running this dominant program for so long, and then I think that upped the level of competition. So right now, I think 3 of the City 6 schools are looking for coaches.
Yeah.
So
well, LaSalle hired already, but yes,
3. There's changes. Right, 3 are changing. So I think we're starting from scratch, almost from square one, right? So yeah, I think they've got to bring in. I think Nova's got to bring in a big name.
Me too.
And build that program back up, and maybe it'll help everybody else.
Yeah, I think they're in the best position out of anybody, you know, because they still have the brand recognition and the names and stuff like that. But it's sad the way that things were. That was the fun part of it when I was in school, and even as an alum, right? I always watch the tournament, and it made it more exciting for me to be able to root for or root against people. And again, it's like all in good fun. Obviously, I'm not, you know, leaning in significantly to like bad blood and stuff, but it was fun to like root against Nova and St. Joe's and stuff, because it's like, we don't want them to succeed because we want Temple to win, you know. And that was the fun part of it. And when you don't have a dog in the race for so long, March Madness is still exciting. I'm not saying that, but it takes it because you're so used to having that extra element there that it's a little less exciting to not be able to embrace that here in Philadelphia. And it stinks. And I feel like also the changing of the guard almost with Dunphy retiring this year, I don't know, maybe I'm getting a little to wax poetic about this, but it's like the sign of the times, like an end of an era. We're never going to see Big 5 basketball be what it was. I hope that's not the case, but I kind of feel that way, right?
No, but I don't think you're wrong to feel that way, because it does feel like that. He was kind of the last tie to the beautiful era of basketball that was. And you think of how many schools he coached at in the Big 5 and then was a part of as he went to LaSalle as a player. So you think about that, and now these are all new, fresh names, fresh faces, and it is different and it is changing. And I mean, Selection Sunday in and of itself was always so exciting around here. All the schools would have their watch parties, and you wouldn't know who to cover and who to root for. And now it's not. This is crazy to say. I forgot Selection Sunday even happened yesterday.
Wow.
I was at a baseball tournament with my son.
I was at the Union.
My point, you were at a soccer game, I was watching 12U baseball. Shout out to Frank at Diamond Academy. And listen, I forgot it happened. Yeah. Which we can't have that.
Yeah, we can't have that here.
It's one of the best days of the year. Yeah. We cannot have that here.
Absolutely. Let's go to the fan cam.
My thoughts on what do Big 5 basketball have to do to get back on the map. First, the coaches have to do better recruiting through the transfer portal. The boosters have to do better with the NIL situation.
The money with the NIL endorsements is so big that having a great tradition or even a great coach is not going to be enough, as these players are looking to get paid. So it's up to the athletic directors to open up the checkbooks and let's get in the game, or otherwise we'll be mired in mediocrity.
Ooh, Paul.
He said it.
He's not wrong, though.
No, he said it.
All right. On that note, we're going to take a look here at our Go Vote tonight, which is the number 1 seed that's losing first in the NCAA tournament as we look. It's kind of even here. You guys thinking Houston and Auburn. No votes for Florida. Duke, though, is kind of hanging in there.
I always enjoy voting for Duke and things like this.
Yeah, me too.
Marcus, sorry. But it's just, it's fun to hate on them, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Always. Well, if you guys would like to weigh in, fox39.com/GoVote, or you could have scanned that QR code at the top of the screen, but fox39.com/GoVote works just fine. Okay, Jamie, we are going to take a little bit of a time out here, but March Madness, we were just talking about the fun of it now that we had to, get the Big 5 slander out of the way. But you still have some favorite moments, right?
Too many to count, but I'm going to narrow it down.
Okay, let's relive some of them. Okay. And we are going to take a time out if you guys want to join in on the conversation. There is the number. You guys know what to do, right? Selfie style video. Send it to that, and you can see yourself on the Phantastic Sports Show. We'll be right back.
Hey, how's everybody doing? My most memorable and favorite moment NCAA tournament history is when the Cinderella Villanova Wildcats upset the Georgetown Hoyas 40 years ago.
Welcome back into the Fantastic Sports Show. I like that one. That was a good one.
That's a good one.
And this is our conversation that we're getting into now, is your favorite March Madness memories, because there's so much positive to talk about this now that we've gotten the negative out of the way of there's no teams represented here.
Stop bringing that up, please.
Yeah, but
just stop.
Okay, we'll get into some good ones. Okay, Jamie, what is a positive memory that you can, that comes to mind when you think of March Madness?
Well, I think right off the bat, if anyone's watching at home, you're going to say the same thing I'm going to say right now. Chris Jenkins. That was one of the greatest moments, I think, here in Philadelphia ever. Yeah. And I think we almost all remember where we were when he hit that shot against North Carolina.
That's just unbelievable.
It's possibly the greatest moment in NCAA tournament history.
Yeah.
The shot heard around the world.
Yeah. Were you there?
I wasn't there. I was back at the station. We all thought it was over, and we all screamed very loudly. And, I remember at the parade, and I mean, Chris, I was at the parade, and I was there when Villanova was welcomed home from that into the football stadium full of fans, and it was just this magical moment. And Chris became a hero. Yeah. And he will never, look, his NBA career never panned out, but he will never have to buy a drink in this town ever again based on that shot. Correct. And that shot only.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go with a similar shot, but not quite, because obviously it was the first round. Temple beating Penn State in Arizona in 2011. I wasn't there, but because the senior mascot travels to the teams, and I was a freshman at that time. But I remember standing on my bed, Juan Fernandez hitting this with 0.4 seconds left to go, and I just remember just absolutely screaming, and the entire dorm room, like the entire dorm floor, just went absolutely insane. And it was, there's always a rivalry with Penn State too. So not only did they advance on an incredible shot by Juan, but it's like anytime you get one over Penn State,
and to be in college for a moment like that too.
And that was like my first experience with March Madness as a Temple student, is having a moment like that happen. I'm like, man, this rocks. Like, you watch it at home and it's one thing, but this is my school now. Like, there's a little extra juice in it to experience that way.
Now, I went to UCLA, which is the winningest basketball program of all time. Mm-hmm. I have to throw that out there. And my next moment is something that I experienced, not as a student yet. I knew I always wanted to go there. It was my dream school. But in 1995, I was actually a junior in high school. It was Tyus Edney 4.8. Which may not mean a lot to anybody else, but Tyus Edney went the entire length of the floor in 4.8 seconds.
That's unreal.
To win the game in the Sweet 16, send the Bruins to the Sweet 16 over Missouri, and they ended up winning the national title. So this was early on in the tournament. Yeah. But it was coast to coast. Every UCLA Bruin fan knows where they were when that one happened. There were T-shirts around town that said 4.8, and he will forever be remembered for going the length of the floor to win that game.
That's unreal. Also, just as an aside, look at the graphics and
now you're really making me feel old. Okay,
I just am like taking it back.
Don't laugh at the graphics. They're fine.
Yeah. There's something, you don't see those much anymore.
Hey.
Okay, so my second memory, I think, is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts in this area. Lehigh beating Duke. That was the most unbelievable. CJ McCollum, like, he just kind of came out of nowhere, right? And has now since had a successful NBA career because of this moment, because he was not on, I don't think, on anybody's radar really, but Brett Reed, obviously, just a phenomenal job with the Mountain Hawks. And this was the coolest thing because
well, it was Duke,
you know what I mean?
Lehigh.
We know Lehigh, but
Correct.
like everybody else around the country is going, who are these kids? Like, what is the school? And the fact they were able to pull that off, I think it was up until St. Peter's toppled. It was the largest upset ever.
Right, because
before the 16-1,
correct. Yeah. And you're right. Lehigh's this tiny school, and nobody across the country really knows what Lehigh is, and we know. And that just added to you talk about the Big Five schools being in the NCAA tournament, but we had Lehigh that year as well, and it was really exciting. And then they pulled off that win.
Little engine
That's
that could. I love seeing stuff like that, but that one was the first one, obviously, that was kind of our area, major, and I thought they were gonna just get absolutely creamed, and the fact that they were able to do that was so cool.
Duke.
Yeah, they were celebrating at Temple just for them because it's like how cool is that?
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, and then my third.
Lay it on me.
Okay, here we go. Christian Laettner, the shot.
Ooh.
We were just talking about Duke.
Yeah.
This was. Again, arguably one of the greatest plays in NCAA tournament history. It really was just a turnaround jumper, but that was one of those shots that lived on in infamy.
Yeah.
And TMI, but I had this mad crush on Christian Laettner.
I
used to carry his basketball card in my wallet, my little Velcro wallet.
That's crazy.
I was young. It was one of my first, hero crushes.
Yeah.
So I was really into that shot.
Yeah. Well,
he was cute. I mean, for a 6'11" old guy.
Yeah.
I was younger.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
You're like, what?
Yeah. Okay. My final one I think is a little more personal for me. It's when UConn won the tournament in 2014. I was friends with a couple of those guys, and that was just so cool to be able to see. But also, this was my first time, Jamie, ever filling out a bracket, because you're not allowed to do that in NCAA because it's against compliance. You can't put money on something. But Temple's season was over. Technically, I was no longer part of the NCAA compliance system. So it was the first bracket I ever filled out. And I picked UConn to win 7 seed. And I literally labeled it the bracket that would not win because a 7 seed never won the tournament before. And I'm like, I'm just throwing away my money. But it's a cool experience because I've never been able to fill out a bracket and bet on something.
How much did you win?
A couple hundo.
Hey, what'd you do with it?
I spent it at the Draft Horse, RIP, the Draft Horse.
I wasn't expecting you to answer it that way.
They tore that thing down. They put a new bar and grill on Temple's campus, but the Draft Horse used to be the spot. And
I was thinking shoes, a bag.
Oh no, we went right on over.
Get it?
Yeah. No allegiance to UConn besides the fact that I knew a couple of the guys there and we were friends. But
it worked out for you.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, forever for those couple hundies. You made a lot of Temple kids' lives that day.
Oh, imagine if you invested them. Where would they be? Well, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't crazy money. It's just,
So, I mean, I love filling the brackets out with my kids.
Yeah.
So I guess I teach them gambling at a way too young age. I don't think there's any real money. Well, I mean, here, kids, I'll buy you some candy.
Okay. Do you find that I have to just fill out the brackets? Because Tom was asking me about my Final Four. Who's in your Final Four? And I was like, I don't know yet. I just have to go off vibes. I just go and do it kind of blindly. I don't look at anything. I don't look at people's records because every time I overanalyze, it goes horribly wrong.
Never
when
works out
I just fill out based on vibes, or I like this. I like this mascot, or something so stupid. That's when I seem to do the best. My friends were playing at UConn, and I won the whole thing.
No, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. Every time I look up all the different prognostications, and it's too much. And then it's always the pressure of you're a sportscaster, so you're going to definitely win the pool. And then I finish last, and that's never good. Mascots. Yes.
I always take Temple to at least the Sweet 16, and they're not going to get me this time.
No.
You can't hurt me if you're not in.
You can't do that.
Okay. All right. We are going to take another timeout. When we come back, we've got a lot of other things to get to because we have to talk Phils. We have to talk about the Sixers, Jamie. I'm sorry.
Do we have to?
We do. So, yeah, we'll get to that in a hot minute. Welcome back. We are down the stretch, and let's just rip the Band-Aid off. We have to talk about this really quickly. So the Sixers were down in Houston tonight. They blew a 25-point lead and lost in overtime. Also, though, Paul George out for the season after getting injections in his knee.
Well, that part, okay, that's not good, especially given how much he's being paid.
But also not surprising whatsoever after all of this going on.
None at all. But I'm going to look on the bright side of this. The double bad news is that they blew that 25-point lead and lost, which is what we want them to do right now.
That's honestly, yeah.
And Paul George is out for the rest of the year, which gives them more chances to lose, which is what we want them to do right now.
Yeah. At this point, you gotta start tanking, guys. Like, don't.
Oh, I mean, the tank is on. They can't. The worst thing that could possibly happen.
They've been tanking by trying. Now we just need you guys to not.
Correct. The worst thing that could happen, and it would be so Sixers if it happened, by the way, is that they end up with the 7th pick in the draft, and it goes to Oklahoma City. We need 6 and below. Please. Please make that happen.
The team is so cooked. You know who's not cooked?
Who?
The Phillies. I'm excited for baseball.
They can't be cooked yet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, there's something to watch on the horizon here. Zach Wheeler was officially named the starter for opening day, which we all knew. I mean, who else?
I love when they do that.
Yeah.
Like, there's all this anticipation.
Who else would? I mean, I guess Nola, but come on.
No.
It's Zach Wheeler. So I'm super excited. How has it sunk in for you yet? Because I feel like the last time we spoke to you, you were still kind of football.
We were in football mode. I think it's baseball season now. I think what has helped for me personally is a little bit of warmer weather, tiny bit. The clocks have changed, so we have the daylight hour. It's feeling a little springy.
Yeah.
And there are no teams in the big dance, so bring on baseball.
Yeah,
Let's make it happen.
I think that's what it is, right? Like, March Madness is here, even though there's no one to watch locally. It's still kind of in my brain. Okay, we're ready to go now. And of course, we are indeed ready to go because 10 days from now, March 27th is your season opener. They are unfortunately on the road, so it's not at Citizens Bank Park, but that's okay. You guys can drive down to DC. You guys travel well anyway.
It's fine. I've done that for a season opener. No problem.
All right, we are going to take our final timeout of the night. Here's the number. You know what to do. Welcome back into the Phantastic Sports Show. We are in the end zone, Jamie.
I love
it. Your final thoughts. What are you most looking forward to as we enter the March Madness time? Is it the upsets? Is it the fun storylines? Is it just the experience of?
I want to see who emerges as a guy that we can remember forever, like a Steph Curry. He was born in March Madness.
Yeah, I always like the characters too, like Sister Jean and all those little quirky things that you get.
Player.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder how she is. I hope she's well.
Me too.
Okay, that's all we have for you today. I will see you tomorrow, and Jim will see you Monday.